Welcome to this short video presentation on the importance of knowing your learners. I hope you find this presentation to help you enhance your ability to design and deliver online classes. The importance of knowing your learners. First, I will review key terms, then I'll briefly discuss the MRKK instructional design model, followed by a review of learner characteristics. I will introduce the Schema learning theory, and discuss how the theory came about and some of the key players in its development. Then I'll present a scenario to help you activate a schema. I'll discuss the 5 types of schemas, then review the 3 processes for modifying a schema, and finally I'll provide some practical ways that you can apply these concepts when you're designing instruction and delivering learning. Before we begin, let's review a few key terms. Instructional design is the systematic planning of instruction. Learner characteristics are factors relating to the person and social traits of individuals as well as learner groups that need to be considered during instructional planning and learning. Schema are an organizing and orienting attitude that involve active organization of past experiences. Advanced organizer is a tool used to introduce a lesson topic and illustrate the relationship between what the students are about to learn and the information they already have learned. Dynamic instructional design can enhance student enrollment, increase course success, bolster program retention, and ultimately help to ensure the timely graduation of your students. Knowing and understanding your learners is foundational as it's recognized in most instructional design theories and models. Elements of the MRKK instructional design model are: first, learners, where we ask for whom is the course developed. Second, objectives. What do we want the learners to learn or demonstrate? Third, methods. How is this content or skill best learned? And fourth, evaluation. How will you determine if the learning has been achieved? Here is an image of the MRKK instructional design model. For the purpose of this presentation, we are going to look closer at learner characteristics and present a learning theory that will help us understand why learning characteristics are foundational to instructional design. Learner characteristics. There are types of learner characteristics are defined by the MRKK model are general characteristics, which are broad identifying characteristics such as age, gender, education, and ethnicity. Entry characteristics, which are prerequisite skills and attitudes that the learner must possess prior to instruction. Learning styles are traits that indicate preference for how learners approach learning and process the information. Academic information includes the academic record, as well as knowledge and skills that the learner already possesses that is directly related to the subject content or skills to be learned. Personal and social characteristics include age and maturity, motivation and attitude towards subject matter, expectations, and vocational aspirations. Cultural characteristics are the learner groups may have members from different ethnic cultures with backgrounds and behaviors that differ from one another. Learners with disabilities. Learner groups may have members with physical, learning, vision, hearing, speech, or cognitive impairment. Adult learners typically have a high level of motivation, seek relevance, and are self-directed. The importance of understanding your learners. To help you understand why learner characteristics are foundational to dynamic instructional design, let's take a look at the Schema learning theory. The Schema learning theory. The plural form of schema is schemata. Schemata are thought of as building blocks of cognition. They represent our personal and simplified view of the reality derived from our own personal experiences and our prior knowledge. They enable us to recall, modify our behavior, concentrate attention on key information, and try to predict the most likely outcome of events. A schema is a hypothetical mental structure for representing generic concepts stored in memory. It's a sort of framework, plan, or script. Schemata are thought of as packets of knowledge, composed of generic or abstract knowledge, data structures that learners use to represent the generic concepts stored in their memory. They are guides for the encoding, organization, and retrieval of information. created and used without the individual's conscious awareness and relatively stable over time. Schemata are thought to reflect the prototypical properties of experiences previously encountered by an individual and integrated over many incidences. They reflect an individual's experience and are also commonly shared across individuals within a shared culture. To give you a little history that will help you understand the theory, the concept of schema theory, one of the cognitive learning theories, was introduced in 1932 through the work of British psychologist Sir Frederick Bartlett. Though some suggest it was first introduced in 1926 by Jean Piaget, it was further developed in the 1970s by American educational psychologist Richard Anderson. Why do we need schema theory, you might ask? Schemas help us to make sense of new by relating it to what we already know. Consider the following scenario. Suppose you overheard the following conversation between two individuals. Did you order it? Yeah, it'll be here in about 45 minutes. Well, I've got to leave before then, so please save me a couple of slices. Did you know that these two people were talking about? It's likely you were pretty sure they were discussing pizza, but how could you know this? You've never heard this exact conversation between these two individuals, so it's not that you were recalling it from memory. Neither of them mentioned the word pizza, and the only identifying characteristic that was mentioned was slices. Schema theory would suggest that we understand this conversation and gather they are ordering pizza because it activated our schema for pizza, or more specifically our schema for ordering pizza, and use that schema to comprehend this scenario. Let's review the 5 types of schema. First, we have social schema, which is generated by an event such as going to a restaurant. This event consists of a script and scenes like booking a table, arriving at the restaurant, ordering food, and contains props like a menu, roles like the waiter, and outcomes like not feeling hungry. Next, we consider ideological schema, which is generated by attitudes or opinions on relative social or political issues. Formal schema is related to the rhetorical structure of a written text, for example, the differences in genre between narrative styles and their corresponding structures. Linguistic schema includes the decoding features a person needs in order to understand how words are organized and fit together in a sentence with spoken and written discourse. Content schema refers to the knowledge about the subject matter or the content. 3 processes are proposed to account for the modification of schemata. Keep in mind, though, that schemata expand and change over time due to the acquisition of new information. Deeply installed schemata are inert and slow to change. The first we look at is accretion. New information is remembered in the context of an existing schemata without altering the schemata. Second, we look at tuning, where new information or experience cannot be fully accommodated under an existing schemata, so the schemata evolves or tunes to become more consistent and to accommodate this new information. And thirdly, we look at restructuring. When new information cannot be accommodated merely by tuning an existing schemata, a new schemata is created. So, what are some practical ways that you can apply these concepts when you are designing instruction and delivering learning? Well, you can get to know your learners, and you can use advanced organizers to activate prior knowledge, because according to schemata theory, success of a learner acquiring new information is dependent on the activation of prior knowledge, and this can be accomplished using advanced organizers. You can ask questions to determine what students' current schemata might be, and pay attention to answers as it may give clues to how they are organizing information. Thank you for watching The Importance of Knowing Your Learners. You're probably already doing some of these things, and hopefully after watching this presentation, you'll understand the importance that knowing your learners has on your ability to help them connect prior knowledge to newly presented material. For more information, you can check these sites out. Thank you again.